Welcome to the Earthquake Country Alliance Southern California Fall 2023 workshop. If you're new to Earthquake Country Alliance, my name is Mark Benthian. I'm the executive director. I am based at the University of Southern California, the headquarters for the now statewide California Earthquake Center. You'll see we're transitioning. You can see actually the slide says Southern, which we've been around since 1991, but with as we go forward into 2024 and beyond, we are we've been doing many things statewide for many years, including support for the Earthquake Country Alliance and also in earthquake science. So this is a transition that's long time coming. So just going to share one more time the instructions for today for people who've just joined. It's a regular Zoom meeting, so make sure you keep your sound muted, except later when we might have people be able to speak. And do put your questions into chat for the presenters. After each presentation, we'll be able to ask those questions of the presenters. Right now, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Margaret Vinci and Heidi Rosofsky, who are two of our three ECA SoCal Coordinating Committee chairs.
Okay, so welcome to our last ECA quarterly workshop for 2023. Another great year as ECA celebrated its 20th anniversary this year. So how far that we have come has been a great accomplishment. And thank you to all of our members and all of our supporters that are here today and that have been during the last 20 years of working with ECA SoCal. So SoCal ECA has three coordinating committee chairs, two of which are here with you today. So I am Margaret Vinci from Caltech Seismological Laboratory with Communications, Education, and Outreach. And my partner today is, go ahead, Heidi.
Heidi Rosofsky, and I'm an inclusive planning specialist with Global Vision Consortium. And along with being one of the SoCal chairs, I'm also an inclusive planning specialist for ECA.
And missing today is Ellen Hansen, who is off on vacation.
Lucky guy.
So part of we are the chairs. So you have three chairs that work with you with our coordinating committee. And in addition to the co-chairs to keep us moving along, we have different areas represented for media communications, trainings, opportunities, workshops, tsunamis, shakeout participations, and other events. So this is a list of some of our SoCal coordination committee. And as we enter 2024, we're actually looking for coordinators to fill some of the vacancies. So we will look out to you for planning. We look to you to anybody that would like to participate in our coordinating committee to go ahead and contact Gabby. And you can go to socal@earthquakecountry.org to let us know anybody that wants to be a part of the coordinating committee. We would love to have you. One of the commitments is we have planning meetings every other month via Zoom. So we invite anybody that wants to be part of this to then join us in our coordinating committee.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. I'm going to just kind of briefly go over our agenda today. We are going to have some information about what happened with our recent shakeout and some of the events that are up and coming. Seismic hazards in and resources in California, the earthquake early warning, quake break. Something about our mini awards, and if you are not familiar with our mini awards, this is something that's really great for it's looking to do some kind of a project, small project that can really go far with mitigation and other issues. We are coming up on the Northridge Earthquake 30th anniversary. We'll be talking about that. And we want from you open discussion, sharing, some networking, and we'll have opportunities for that and for the answering questions along the as the agenda goes. So in order to get us started on the Shakeout debrief, statewide results, and key events, I am going to kick it back to Mark Benthian, our fearless leader.
Thank you, Heidi. Video started. So, yeah, the 2023 Shakeout was a really great to see that it was really great to see continued kind of actually rebounding since COVID in terms of participation. There was a lot of turnover in organizations, so a lot of new people coming into their roles, organizing their Shakeout drills across the state. We increased participation up to over 10.2 million in California. That's up about 600,000 from last year. We're still trying to get back to the all-time high, which was in 2019, right before COVID, about 10.6 million. So hopefully that will happen in 2024. Thank you all for, if you were someone who organized your organization to participate, who maybe talked people into doing the drill that didn't want to on that day, you know, we know that it takes a lot of effort, and we appreciate all that you do to make it happen, both in your companies, your communities, maybe even in your household, your faith-based organizations, all of those that participate in Shakeout each year. Of course, you can look at who has participated and the types of organizations, all at shakeout.org. You can go to the California section and see that there. And in addition to the events that we had, or all the actual individual drills that happened, of course, there were also many other activities kind of beyond or as part of those drills, but even more public drills. So when you register, we kind of ask people your option to share some things. So we're going to hear about that in a little bit too. One key event, of course, is what ECA SoCal organized on Shakeout Day, as we do every year, as a major media event. And I'll turn back to Margaret to comment on that location and how that went. And perhaps some others will chime in too. Margaret.
Okay, thank you, Mark. So we had a great event this year. We have for the last 20 years had, or no, I guess it's been 18 years, had some great events. But this year especially was a little bit different. And so we started, of course, we had it at the LA Regional Food Bank in downtown Los Angeles, which was a great location to be able to have our event. And we first of all want to thank all of you who participated in the Southern California 2023 primary Shakeout media event this year, especially Michael Flood from the LA Regional Food Bank, people from EMLA, California Earthquake Authority, Cal OES, LA County OEM, LA City Council, Red Cross, SoCal Edison, Ready America, and many others that helped to put on this event and supported this event. At 3 o'clock, we started with media who arrived at 3 o'clock doing events into the shaker truck and doing interviews. We also had subject experts that spoke on various topics. So interviews were going on throughout the whole day with our media. One of the main things we were able to show this year at the LA Regional Food Bank was what you do if you're in a big store such as a Costco. So to get into the bins and being able to show people what to do and how to utilize that. We talk about it, but I'm not sure people really understand what we're saying. So we're actually able to film this. KBC did a great job of doing that over and over again. And so we were able to get that message out. And then, of course, this year we usually have a press conference that starts about 9:15 in the morning prior to the Shakeout drill at 10:20. This year, 10:19. But this year we actually had two press conferences. One was focused on the retrofit of the LA Regional Food Bank. So another reason that this was such a great location was that they are in the process of retrofitting their building. with grants that they have gotten from FEMA through Cal OES, and using their retrofitting grants to be able to do that. So we had a press conference that was specifically focused on that, and then followed by a then press conference, of course, on shakeout. What is the importance of shakeout and why people should be supporting that and getting that messaging out, so that we were able to get out both of these messages this year. So it was a great location to be able to have the drill, or the drill. And then, of course, at 10:19, we set off shake alert, earthquake early warning, that then triggered a drill inside of the facility. So the workers there participated in the shakeout drill, doing drop, cover, and hold on. And then they evacuated the building to where their meeting place would be out in the parking lot. And then we had an aftershock. So we did again the earthquake early warning, shake alert, and then had people do drop, cover, hold on outside into the parking lot as well. So it all wrapped up at about 11 o'clock, and it was a great morning and some great messaging that we were able to get out.
Heidi, I see you speaking, but you're muted.
Okay. For those that may not realize, when Margaret was saying 3 o'clock, she meant 3 a.m. So we had some really people who came out to support this.
Yeah, thanks, Heidi.
Excellent, Margaret. Well, thank you for that overview. It was a really great event and really highlighted so many messages that we are focused on and making sure that get communicated. And by having it a big event like this with the media coming, they really help to amplify. And next year, we will be, I'm sure, doing a similar activity. We already have people who are interested in hosting events. Of course, there can be multiple events throughout all of Southern California. We have multiple media markets, and we would love to coordinate with you in that when we go forward. Now, I would like to see, there were a couple people who shared events. I'd like to ask Philip Labra from Cal OES, and I put you on the spot a little bit if you're here. Could you just share a little bit about the shakeout tour that Cal OES did with the simulator? So I know that, oh, go ahead, Phil. I see you're off mute, but I'm not hearing you. Yeah, we're not hearing you, Philip. Maybe your audio selection.
Hear me now?
Ah, hear you now.
Yep. There you go.
Hello?
We hear you. Maybe he's not hearing us now.
Oh, perfect. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Thanks. Sorry about that, everyone. Yeah, so Cal OES Seismic Hazards branch, we had 2 weeks worth of shakeout tours all across the state. Overall, we took the shake tour trailer to a couple of different areas, starting with Sacramento, working our way down to the San Diego event on the day of shakeout day. Overall, great events. We did a lot of media interviews. We also set up a booth as well to speak with the public, bring information from ECA, some of the information that we have with our partners to the public. Overall, really great coordination with the media outlets. And we got a lot of great coverage. We're looking forward to do it again next year.
Thank you very much. And I know we get a lot of requests for earthquake simulators throughout the year. What's the best way to ask Cal OES about the possibility of having the simulator at an event?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mark. So we do have, in our earthquake early warning program, we do have an education and outreach program coordinator. His name is John Goodell. So if you're looking to request it for a preparedness fair that you're hosting, or if you're looking to bring the shakeout, the shake trailer to like your business, it'd be great for you to get a hold of him as early as possible, just to give him some leeway to go through the approval process. Unfortunately, we can't make it to all the events that we get requests for, but if you're looking to work with us, please send us a message. You can reach him at, I'll put his email in the chat, but John
Wonderful.
Goodell. And feel free to reach out. Appreciate it.
That's great. Yeah, there are two companies that will charge, because these things are literally shaking themselves all the time, so they're very expensive to maintain. They can charge to have come to your event, like the Ready America big shaker that you see on the screen here, also the safety proof Quake Cottage. You can look up both of those online to find out about those. Big Shaker, just search Big Shaker or Quake Cottage. And then also what the state in partnership and leasing from Safety Proof, a Quake Cottage. And so all of these are available, some for a fee and some potentially, if available, through the state. So thank you, Philip, for sharing that. Next up, I'd like to see Tom Devine, if you're willing to share a little bit about what you did in your office. I thought it was really great. And if you could chime in. You're able to come off mute right now. And while I see about Tom joining, also let me see if another person who's with us, one other aspect. And one other person to check on. What's really remarkable is just the creativity that people bring to their shakeout drill. So I'll just kind of read some of the aspects that were shared during registration. So there was a family daycare, Arredondo Family Daycare, shared that the children spent 3 weeks leading up to the event learning about earthquakes. They built emergency family kits and they practiced drills. These are childcare. We can all do it too, right? So another group sent from the Intertribal Long-Term Recovery Foundation sent email newsletters with tips to their tribal partners, encouraging them to register and participate in Shakeout. Family Hospice Care did, of course, the campus-wide drill, office sweep to check on all the employees, and evacuation to their specified outside evacuation zones. The Endoscopy Center of Santa Monica downloaded the posters and had staff watch the YouTube video about Shakeout and use the audio recording for their drills. And the Port of Los Angeles, Jennifer Maradiaga, I think you were on. Do you want to share about what you did? You're able to come off.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Jennifer.
Sorry, I just unmuted myself right now. Yes, so the Port of Los Angeles, we participated by using our PA system that is connected throughout various facilities at the Port of Los Angeles where our employees occupy those buildings. And then we also use our mass notification system to send out notifications to all of our employees at the start and at the end of the drill. So whoever was not near a PA system or in their typical office space setting, they still participated with the earthquake drill, regardless of the space where they were at. So that's the approach that we wanted to take and just make sure that everyone participated in some type of capacity.
Excellent, thank you. Heidi.
Well, one of the things that I think also ought to be brought out is that you don't have to be doing this with an organization. This is something that you can do at home with your family. In my case, you know, my husband and I did a drop, cover, and hold. We were actually watching TV in bed, so we did what you needed to do, and we went through the earthquake kit and and talked about what we needed to do should an earthquake occur. And since both of us have disabilities, how are we going to flag help and so forth? So those are the kinds of things that you can do at home with your family and make sure that you have not only, done the drop, cover, and hold, but put together a family plan. So you don't have to be necessarily with an organization to do a good shakeout drill.
Excellent, Heidi, and thank you for everybody who shared. I think just to wrap up, feel free to share in the chat what was done. Monica Gonzalez, you'll be the last one. You did reach out to share about what RAP did for Shakeout.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Monica. I'm with the Department of Recreation.
Parks.
Yeah, with the Department of Recreation. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I'm with the Department of Recreation and Parks, and we have many recreation centers with all the children that come in for various programs. So we did have them run a drill, and it was really sweet because we did have somebody do the filming of it so that we can post it onto our website. And so post it onto our social media, really kind of encouraging everybody to get involved with the shakeout. And then we made certificates for all of the kids and all of the different recreation centers. I want to say we had, gosh, maybe about 60 different sites participate with their programs on site. So it's a program we like to do every year, and the kids really enjoy it. So that's it.
Excellent. Well, at the end of this section, just to point out that we have, if you aren't a member of earthquakecountry.org, you can join at earthquakecountry.org/join. We do have a survey of today's workshop. If you could please, we'll put the link to that in the chat. It may already be there. If you could please complete that before you leave. You could start it at any time, and you'll be able to see that in the chat at some point here coming up. The last, generally we're not taking questions by hand raising, but put them in the chat. But Eric Morgan, if you could, City of LA, you have the last word here. Go ahead and share.
And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for letting me chip in as well. I led the EMD occupants on their drill for that day on the 19th. So we have staggered staffing, so we didn't have everybody ideally, but those present did participate in a drop, cover, and hold on drill. And for those that went under the desk, they're rewarded with small trinkets of appreciation, some museum putty and or wall hanging devices. And then waited about a minute. The announcement was made on the PA system. So that went to the LA Fire Metropolitan Fire Communications and the LAPD. So they had awareness prior to the event, so no surprises. But all the occupants in the building then immediately embarked on a evacuation out to a nearby open parking lot, and took a head count. And we even had one wrinkle where one of the senior EMD emergency management coordinator stayed behind the building. So we realized we were off on our count. So we went and did a little quick search and found them. So that was the added wrinkle in the exercise. And so
thank you, Eric.
You bet. Thanks
for sharing. I do see a question in the chat about I'm not clear on the question. Is this only for LA County? We are in Ventura County and Mrs. Shakeout. Of course, shakeout is statewide, in fact, nationwide, in fact, worldwide. So you can have your drill on any day of the year. If you did not do the a drill on shakeout day, you can still have your drill and still register it through the end of December. And shakeout happens once a year. Of course, you can, if you're new to it, you can learn all about it at shakeout.org. So we'll now move on to our first presenter, and Margaret, go ahead.
Yeah. I can introduce. I'd love to introduce Brian Olson, is a geologist with the California Geological Survey at the Southern California Regional Office in Los Angeles. Brian studies earthquake hazards, including surface fault ruptures, liquefaction, and landslides, and how they affect the built environment. And he has performed extensive geologic mapping in the Western Antelope Valley of Southern California. Today, he will share information with us on the seismic hazards and resources that are available to us. Brian?
Good afternoon. And Mark, are you running my slides?
That's going to be Gabby.
Oh, it's gonna be Gabby. Okay, there we are.
It's me. Go ahead.
Whomever. Appreciate the opportunity to talk this morning. Yes, I'm a senior engineering geologist with the California Geological Survey in the Southern California office that is located in downtown Los Angeles when we are in the office and not in the telework environment. And I work in the seismic hazards program, which is one of a few that I'll talk about today. So you go on to the next if you like. The CGS, the California Geological Survey, is a state government agency under the Department of Conservation. California, which is the geologically most diverse and is the second most seismically active state in the U.S. We at the CGS seek to provide scientific products and services, which I will be talking about today, about the state's geology, seismology, and mineral resources, and including those hazards that are associated with them, which affect the health, safety, and business interests of California. We are one of the oldest geological surveys in the nation, being formed in 1860, 10 years after statehood. And we produce more products and services to more people than any other state survey. So today I'll be talking about some of those products and services. The CGS is divided into 6 principal technical programs. The first is, like I mentioned, seismic hazards program. Secondly, is the regional geologic and landslides mapping. We have a mineral resources that also covers mineral hazards as well. Forest and watershed geology, which is a program focused mainly in Northern California that has to do with protecting watersheds from erosion related to timber harvest. The strong motion instrumentation program, which installs seismometers around the state to measure earthquake shaking and feed into the earthquake early warning system in the state. And then the newest program that we added just last year is the Burned Watershed Geohazards Program, which is a program that studies and is connected to post-wildfire hazards, mainly associated with debris flow and rapidly onset of flooding. So next, please. So we're going to talk today about the Seismic Hazards Program. The Seismic Hazards Program is the one I work in. It is tasked with delineating areas prone to ground failure and other earthquake-related hazards. And those hazards include surface fault rupture, soil liquefaction, which is the failure of water-saturated soils, earthquake-induced landslides, and tsunami inundation. And I'll be covering the first 3 of these today. You can see this house here on the right-hand side was destroyed or just sent into disrepair because of surface fault rupture associated with the 1971 San Fernando earthquake. So next slide, please. That earthquake is the earthquake that started many of those programs that I just mentioned, and specifically the one we're talking about today, the Seismic Hazards Program, did not exist until the 1971 earthquake. That was an earthquake that happened in February of 1971, a 6.6, just on the northern end of the San Fernando Valley. It was a serious earthquake with 64 deaths, $500 million in damages, and created a significant amount of ground failure with moving of the ground either up or sideways up to 6.5 feet in that earthquake. So this is the earthquake that woke California up to the hazards posed to the dense urban environments from the earthquake faults that are native to California. Next, please. An example I wanted to show you here of surface fault rupture from that earthquake would be the first hazard we talk about today. You can see if you go advance one slide, one click mark, that should give me a fault on the left-hand side. You can see this street in the middle of suburban San Fernando has a fault running right across the street and right between these two houses, and it has deformed the curb, it has broken the street, and it is just clipping the side of that house. And that was in 1971, over 50 years ago. And if you go to the next slide or the next advance mark, you'll see that today those houses are still there, that fault is still there, and the hazard still exists. So it is something that we want to document and be aware of so that we can avoid, when we go into new construction with cities and counties, to avoid placing these houses on these faults in the first place. These houses were constructed without really knowledge of that. Over on the right-hand side, this is directly across the street from the photo on the left, and this is on a street called Comida Avenue in Sylmar, and you can see the street there is bent. The fault goes right across the street, and this site here, if you go to the next advance mark, it was offset 4.5 feet in that earthquake, and that's permanent deformation that can't be put back. So the city of San Fernando, or the county of LA, whoever at the time, had to come in and figure out what to do, and they just kind of adjusted the curbs in the streets to accommodate this 4.5 feet of shifting. And that's permanent and could happen again. We don't know when and how often, that could happen, but it is a real hazard going through the middle of a residential neighborhood. So it's definitely a concern that was brought to the attention of the state, and the CGS got involved in making maps and documenting where these faults and these hazards exist. Next, please. Currently, this is the area covered by CGS. We have mapped all these little yellowish rectangles have been are areas where faults have been mapped, and we create what are called Alquist Priolo earthquake fault zones. Alquist and Priolo were two California legislators that passed this law that says the CGS should be tasked with documenting these faults at the surface that have the potential for this movement. And so this is how far we've gone so far since the 1974. And there's still faults that are on the horizon that we are looking at and actively zoning and mapping. And this is a program that's active to this day. So next, please. The second hazard I wanted to talk about is a surface phenomenon called liquefaction. It is a temporary, emphasis on temporary, strength loss in saturated sands and silts due to earthquake shaking. So it requires some ingredients, and those ingredients are loose sands or silts or gravels at the surface. It requires a high groundwater table. This is usually defined as less than 50 feet from the surface is the standing groundwater, and it requires moderate to strong ground shaking. Typically, that threshold is around a 5.5 magnitude earthquake. But as the magnitude goes up, the duration of shaking also goes up, which increases the potential for liquefaction. And it is most common near rivers and lakes and low-lying marshy areas. So the trick, though, is as you look around Southern California today, we don't see a lot of low-lying marshy areas because they've all been drained out and paved over and built over. So it is up to us to go back into historical documents and maps, identify where these sediments exist, where the groundwater is high enough, and where the faults nearby are strong enough to generate all the forces that we need for liquefaction. So it's another mapping project that we get involved with. Next slide, please. Now, liquefaction at the surface is commonly seen as what are called sand boils, or sometimes referred to as sand volcanoes. If you look at the picture on the right, you can get an idea of what those look like. And those represent some liquefied sand layer that was pressurized by earthquake shaking. The pressure has to be released in some way. And if it's near enough to the surface, the pressure will blow the sand out to the surface and create one of these sand boils. The reason this becomes a problem is that sand that was underground is now on top of ground, and so therefore it leaves a void under the ground, and you get settlement in the ground. Settlement in general is not a problem, except if you have something built on top of it that requires this ground to be solid and steady. So when we start getting temporary liquefaction, the ground starts behaving like a liquid, and liquids are not good at holding buildings up. It also settles because the sand that was underground is now above ground, so you have a volume loss and you get settlement. And settlement in buildings is very hazardous. So next slide, please. Another one that we do is earthquake-induced landslides. This is a picture from the 1994 Northridge earthquake. This is a hillside that collapsed and failed due to shaking. Landslide is generally defined as downhill movement of ground caused primarily by gravity acting on weakened soil or rock. So a landslide, and specifically an earthquake-induced landslide, requires ingredients as well. The first is steep slopes. The second is weak geologic materials, and that can be bedrock or it can be soil or fill. And it also requires moderate to strong ground shaking and something around a mid-5 or higher to trigger this failure of the ground. So next slide, please. So then what we do for these is we identify where these hazards exist. And we have been tasked in laws. I said the Alquist-Priolo Earthquake Fault Zoning Act was passed in the early 70s after the San Fernando earthquake. The Seismic Hazards Zone Mapping Act, or Zoning Mapping Act, was passed after both the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake and the 1994 Northridge earthquake, which happened just 5 years later. And both of those exposed and showed lots of liquefaction in urban areas, as well as earthquake-induced landslides. And this became a law that the state of California tasked CGS with establishing where are there places in the state where all these ingredients exist, and all that's missing is the earthquake. And so we wanted to get those on paper, get those on the computer, get them identified so that we can begin to plan ahead of the earthquake to mitigate the problems that are associated with these hazards. So the zoning work for seismic hazards, liquefaction and landslides, began in 1997. And it initially focused on the LA Basin and San Francisco Bay areas, mainly because those are the densest residential and urban environments in the state and had the most likelihood of severe damage and financial loss from earthquake hazards. So those were where we were targeted. Now, we're still working in those areas, and currently CGS has only evaluated about 5% of California for these specific seismic hazards. So we have still much more work to do, but other counties and cities are doing their part in creating their own maps in certain places to fill in the gaps until we can get to them. So that's been very helpful as well. Next, please. So I wanted to talk with you about how you can check on these zones and see, get an idea of where you live, where you work, the area around you, to get an idea of what are the hazards there. And we have created a web tool called EQZ app, and the link is there, although it's been bumped a little bit, but it is available. You can do a quick, easy Google search for EQZ app. You can even add California if you like. And this will bring you to this web page here. And click on the disclaimer saying you're fine with looking at what you were doing, and go on to the next slide, please. And you can zoom to your area of California and see what is available. I've chosen here, this is the area of northeastern Orange County. This is Santa Ana Canyon along the Santa Ana River. The city of Yorba Linda is to the north of the river, and Anaheim Hills is to the south. And you can see an example of all three of these hazards here, hazard zones. The yellow rectangles with the black lines in them represent active surface faults. The one on the left is the Whittier Fault, and the one on the right there is the Chino Fault. You'll notice that there's a break in the middle where all the colored polygons end, and they're not present on the right. That's because CGS has not evaluated seismic hazards for San Bernardino and Riverside counties yet, only for Orange County and LA to the west. So this is important to know as well. So what you can do here is you can see the blue polygons represent areas of potential earthquake-induced landsliding, and the green represents potential for liquefaction. These are known as what are called zones of required investigation. If you are going to build something new in these zones, your city or county are mandated, they are required by law to require a special investigation for the hazards that are shown here in these zones. So we'll zoom in a little bit to next slide to the area along the creek. And what you can do is go in and you can click on down to the parcel level. You can click on your parcel or your parcel of interest and get an idea of what you're at. And so they're color coded by different what zones are there. And if you click on it, you can go to the next one. A little window will pop up. So for this one here at 5465 Green Meadow Way, you see that it is in the city of Yorba Linda, and for a fault zone, it says all or a portion of this parcel lies within an earthquake fault zone. And that is a zone of required investigation for surface fault rupture. This one specifically is for the Whittier Fault. Liquefaction zone, this parcel is not within a liquefaction zone. So that's important information as well. And also you'll see for landslide, it says all or a portion of this parcel lies within a landslide zone. So should the city sees this, if there's a potential for some work to be done here or a new home construction or some sort of redevelopment, the city is required to enforce the fault zone study requirement and the landslide zone requirement. Next slide, please. I think that's the end. Yes, thank you very much. So that is a nice, easy tool we have created that you can use to get an idea of seismic hazard zones around you or around the areas you're interested in. And this is a product that we've created. We are still continuing to work. We're creating liquefaction and landslide hazard zones right now in Contra Costa County. Those should be finalized this next year. And we're going to be moving into Sonoma County and parts of Santa Cruz County. Which is maybe not of interest for Southern California ECA members. Sorry.
Brian, thank you very much for this great presentation. I did put the link in the chat.
Wonderful.
To the app. There is a question in the chat for you from Lance Webster, who's our Events Bureau coordinator. He's asking, does knowledge of a fault under or adjacent to one's house affect their earthquake insurance?
Oh, I am not in the insurance industry, so I do not know. I do know, and here's what I will speak to, is these zones are meant for new and planned development. So they are meant for local agencies, your city government, your county government, as well as geotechnical or geologic professionals in the area. They have requirements on them. You as a homeowner or a property owner, there are no requirements on you for being in or outside of these zones. They provide information, but you're not required to take any sort of action because a home or a property is in one of these zones. They are really for planning purposes and don't have any real like teeth or requirements once something is already built.
Once it's already built, yeah. I think generally earthquake hazard does contribute to earthquake insurance rates, but that often is at a kind of a broader scale. If I understand the general probability of earthquakes happening or strong shaking happening. Certainly being right next to a fault, if that fault ruptures, you'll have strong shaking. A lot of the goal, of course, is to not have a house built right on top of it. But I'm not sure if that's proximity to a fault is included right yet in the rates.
Yeah, probably not, because proximity to a fault, like you said, Mark, is a ground shaking source, but the ground shaking is dealt with by the building code. What we're concerned, like you said here, Mark, is we're concerned about differential movement under a house. Like I showed you that picture of the one in San Fernando. We don't want a house to go up on one side and down on the other. And so that's the main concern for these specific earthquake fault zones. But yeah, I think the insurance world uses a broader model for locations of faults and shaking. So if you're 100 feet versus 1,000 feet from a fault, I don't know that really dramatically impacts things.
Excellent. If there are any questions as we go forward, please do put them into the chat. Just post it for everyone to see, and then we'll answer those as we go along. And looks like there's no further questions now. Brian, thank you very much for the excellent presentation. One question that we often get is, but as you can see on the screen, we do record the presentations, and the presentation or the recording of today's presentation will be available hopefully by in a few days this week, but certainly by like next Monday. And you'll find that at the same location where you registered. You can go to earthquakecountry.org/SoCal to see the link to that. And we will move along then. We're now
There's another question in the chat box.
Yeah.
I can do that one real fast if you want.
Please do.
Okay, the question is, are there plans to study these fault zones for the Inland Empire more, specifically San Bernardino and Riverside County? At the moment, that is not an area of focus, and not because we're not interested in it and we don't think there's value. It's because both the county of Santa Bernardino, and the county of Riverside both have these maps that they have developed on their own and that they enforce. And so a similar product exists, which is meeting the spirit of the law, of the protection that we want for the community. And so therefore, we're targeting our efforts to areas of the state that do not have these maps already in place, even at a local level.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you, Brian. That was really an interesting presentation. I find that I always learn something new from you. So thank you very much for that presentation. So we're going to move along, and our next presentation here today to present our quake break. We're lucky to have Gabrielle Tepp, who is the staff seismologist for the Southern California Seismic Network at Caltech. And she is also the lead of the network seismic analyst team, which is responsible for maintaining a high-quality earthquake catalog of all the earthquakes that happened in Southern California. That catalog goes back 80 years. So, Gabrielle, I'm going to turn it over to you.
It goes back 90 years.
Yep.
The 1930s. 1932, I think, is the start. So awesome. Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the earthquakes that have happened over the past quarter in Southern California. And this is just our region that we're responsible for, so our reporting region. And these triangles in this one are just our state seismic stations. So that's our network that's operated. So these are stations operated by Caltech and the USGS. Next slide. Okay, so this quarter, there were 2,779 earthquakes in our reporting region, plus 166 quarry blasts. So the earthquakes are shown in this map on the left here. There were 225 earthquakes that were greater than a magnitude 2, 22 that were greater than or equal to a 3, and 1 that was a 4 or greater. In this case, I think it was just a 4. Yeah, so the map on the left shows you where all the earthquakes were. The color scale is with the magnitude, and they're also sized. So the bigger, lighter colored ones are bigger earthquakes. And you can just see, we get a lot of seismicity where you would expect. So we have Ridgecrest that's up in this northern corner. So that's, that's all of the, so continuing aftershocks from the 2019 Ridgecrest sequence. And then we also see a lot of activity down in the southern part, or kind of the central southern part. And so that's the Elsinore, San Jacinto, and San Andreas faults right there. And so those are, yes, thank you. So those are normally active areas. There were 7 earthquakes that were magnitude 3.5 and above. So a lot of these were felt and had felt reports. And then this bottom plot is just showing the earthquake rate and then over the duration. So from September on the left to December on the right. And so that's the orange. So you can see how it was varying. So we were looking at around 30 to 40 earthquakes per day in general, but a lot of variation. Then the blue dots are just the magnitude 3 and above earthquakes. So that's that one. And then I thought I'd give a little bit more about the Ojai sequence. So there was magnitude 5.1 just near Ojai on August 20th, and we're still getting a few aftershocks from that. Most notably, there was a late magnitude 4 aftershock on November 3rd, so about a month ago. And this top right plot shows the Did You Feel It reports from that earthquake. So you can see quite a few people felt it in the Los Angeles area. In total, we had about 30 aftershocks in this quarter, so not too many. In total, there were about 270 aftershocks and about 24 shocks. And then this is just a map showing the aftershocks from this quarter. So you can see the yellow one right here is that magnitude 4. And that's about all I have. So a pretty quiet quarter for us, nothing too notable.
Thank you, Gabrielle.
I have a question for you, Gabrielle. Often we get asked, people start to look at the data and they maybe even sometimes over a long time periods, and they notice that and there are a lot more smaller earthquakes happening now than there used to be. And I think that's more of a ability to record those after those earthquakes. Can you comment on how the network has evolved and how much more we can see?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting you say that, because I just did a annual report, and we're actually down in total earthquakes from the past few years. But I think that's the Ridgecrest sequence, because it was a magnitude 7 and so big, it had so many aftershocks, and we're finally starting to hit like the very tail end and almost back to background. So I think that's a big reason why we've seen the numbers decrease quite significantly since 2019. But yeah, in general, we're always looking for new ways to modernize the network and improve our ability to detect earthquakes. And we've recently implemented some changes to do that, so we can now get better automatic locations. So these are the ones that get sent out before an analyst can look at it, because we want to get the earthquakes out to the public as soon as possible. So yeah, we're always looking for ways to do that, and looking for ways to use new algorithms that are faster, or, you know, the big thing nowadays is machine learning and artificial intelligence. So trying to find ways to work those into our systems as well. But yeah, we definitely get a lot of little ones, and we're still building out the network too. I think we're very near completion, but just adding more stations and more coverage also helps to get more of the smaller ones. Because for our catalog, at least, we need to record earthquakes on a certain number of stations and we have certain quality thresholds that need to be met. So we'll see little tiny ones on one station or 2 stations, but we can't get a location for those, so they don't make it into the catalog. But if you add more stations, then you might, you know, pass that quality threshold. So you start seeing more of those show up in the catalog. So
Thank you. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, and I would, I'll just add to that also with the Ojai earthquake, it did trigger the Shake Alert earthquake early warning system. And so that was triggered from Ojai all the way down to actually Long Beach. Was in that threshold of a magnitude 4.5 intensity 3 of shaking. And it did trigger the Shake Alert earthquake early warning.
And I think, as Gabrielle was mentioning, that more stations closer to where earthquakes are happening means better able to quickly detect that they're happening and send out the earthquake early warning that much faster. There's if Margaret, do you want to do a pitch for?
Well, and not so much just faster, that the more stations, and of course we're constantly the technology is constantly getting better, better, and better, but it also reduces the no warning zone. So if you are right on top of that earthquake, you will get an alert maybe after the shaking, which in Ojai, some people did. They got the alert after they felt shaking, but that no warning zone is becoming smaller and smaller, depending on the evolution of the Shake Alert system. of the earthquake early warning system.
And of course, one way to get that earthquake early warning is through an app for your phone, and you can get that at on your app store at and look for the MyShake app. And if you're interested in automated systems in your organization, your business, etc., definitely talk to Margaret, who is able to help you figure out what would be needed. Margaret, would you like to say anything more about that?
Just that also it's available if you have a Android phone, you will automatically get the earthquake early warning, comes through Google. And so they will automatically send it through Android. You don't have to download an app. It automatically comes if you have notifications turned on. And then we will automatically send an alert also for an intensity 5, magnitude 4. The threshold's a little bit higher. So you can get it those ways as well. But to download MyShake.
Thank you, Margaret. We'll move on. And again, put the copy the link again for the survey. If you're soon to leave our meeting, please don't. But when you do, please take the survey. Let us know your feedback. We also asked some questions there about what you'd like to see for future events and topics. And even if you might have a venue where we might have an in-person event, you can share that via the survey. And we would love to have your ideas and your suggestions for locations. So next up, we're going to move to talking about the ECA SoCal Mini Awards. And I'm just gonna move us along. We're going to have 6 presentations, 5 live with our partners on the recipients on the call today, 1 recording. So Patricia and John and well, everybody who you know who you are coming through. This is the order of presentations, so be ready. And let's just make sure that we have Patricia, you're ready to go. I'm going to spotlight you. There you are. Yeah, come off mute. And one before you present, just be ready. I'm just going to talk about what the mini awards are. The program is designed to provide ECA members with materials. So we don't provide you funding. We actually buy the materials for you that you can use to improve earthquake resilience by promoting mitigation, awareness, preparedness, and multiply hopefully the impact of your programs that you already have. You can get materials from either $500 to $1,000 each. We have worked with a number of partners to provide special pricing for these items. And there are 2 types. They're for earthquake mitigation and education. Largely for mitigation means, retrofitting. You're not going to retrofit a building for this amount, but you could secure your space. Step 1 of the 7 steps to earthquake safety. And so some of our projects were to do that. Others were educational materials, and I think mostly using the rocket rules materials for children, but there are other educational activities you can do. For the 2024 awards, you'll be able to apply in mid-January at earthquakecountry.org/mini awards. Right now, it's the application and all the information for 2023 when you go there. We are looking to make a change to allow you, hopefully, to have a more customizable packages, kind of like an online order form that you select things that will add up to either that $500 or $1,000. The $1,000 packages are for groups that we've worked with that are longtime members and are able to, have maybe successfully completed a project before, so we know that you likely will this time. So you'll be getting an email if you're an ECA member, and we really encourage all of you, all of you to apply for your organizations, or to spread the word to other organizations. Typically we're supporting schools, nonprofit organizations, government agencies, and works that is benefiting other groups. Companies less so, unless they're doing a project that's benefiting their community. So now I'll turn to Patricia Gonzalez with Beyond Prepared. And somehow let me do that again, add spotlight. There you are. And to share about her mini award project. Trish, you're on.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Patricia Gonzalez with Beyond Prepared. And we were given the 2023 Mini Award, Secure Our Space. And what we did was we presented that organization to the organization we presented was to Young Visionaries Youth Leadership Academy. It is a organization, a nonprofit organization located in San Bernardino County. Next slide. Are you there? Okay. So what we do is teach purposeful preparation and safety education. So we provide education in the classroom with groups, individual teaching, as well as doing events in the community. And we provide disaster guides. We also provide Buzzy and Bliss, which are the little mascots that you see up in the corner. And what we did was we wanted to provide the kids with an experience. We just didn't want to give them a little emergency bag with Band-Aids where they just threw out or stuck all over their face. But we wanted to engage with them, do different things, and also be able to be a part of the community. So as you can see, we were able to work with Fire, Smokey, Bear, Sparky, and just do a lot of events in the community throughout Southern California. Next slide. So that is our organization. And Young Visionaries is the organization where we were able to present to them the earthquake kit that you see at the bottom. This organization does many, many things. They work a lot with the youth in the community. They give back to the community on backpack days. As you can see up at the top, they did a turkey giveaway. Over 1,000 turkeys were given. They're going to be doing the Winter Wonderland on December 16th, and also All About the Children on January 20th. So this organization has been working out of the CAPS building in San Bernardino, and we were able to work with Young Visionaries and provide them this award because they were going to also have their own building in San Bernardino. So on the next slide, you will be able to see that they had a grand opening. Everything was new. So the center inside was built from the ground up. And as you can see, we were able to put up things in the back of the pictures. We were able to also help with putting things together in the office, as well as the other office. Are you able to hear me, Mark?
We hear you fine, yeah.
Okay. And so we were also able to.
And then she disappeared. Wait.
And then she disappeared.
See, she actually lost connection right then. Or you're back, Patricia. Looks like your internet may be unstable, but we see you here. Let me add you again. You're on mute though. If you can just unmute again. Awesome.
Okay, sorry about that. So we were able to get the straps on the TVs. Unfortunately, we were not able to go in time, but you could see they had the billboard, or what is this, the whiteboards, the TVs. We were also able to strap down all the bookshelves for all of the mentorship and the VIP attendees, as well as the offices for the program manager and the CEO, and then the secretaries. Next slide. And lastly, they were very, very appreciative. This is also another picture, as you can see, of the office. They had screen TVs there that needed to be mounted, and the straps were used for the ones that were on desktops. And so ultimately, we were able to teach the whole group of young visionaries, as you could see at the bottom. And then a part of my team was also able to give a little presentation to the youth, as you see on the left. So this was an exciting experience. Everybody loved it. They all wanted certificates for being able to put this up. So we're working on continuing to just bring more to the youth, the community, through this organization, because they have done this over 25 years. And I was very fortunate to be able to present them with this award. And I thank Earthquake Country Alliance for allowing us to do that.
Patricia, thank you so much for sharing about your project. And that you applied for the project, not for your own organization, but for this important community organization, and help them get prepared in a new space. I think that's fantastic. So thanks again. I know you've been doing this for a lot of for many years, and you've had a couple projects. So we appreciate all that you do. Next up, we have scheduled from the city of Norwalk, but I was not seeing them online. Anybody from the city of Norwalk on and ready to present?
Yes, sir. This is John. Can you see us?
Oh, I see, because you registered under Norwalk. I was looking for your names. Perfect. Excellent. If you could start your video, and then I'll be able to spotlight you. Perfect. And
there you go.
you down there.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, here are your slides. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much.
Oh, let me come back.
Oh. All right, good afternoon. I'm John, and this is my partner Val. We're with the Office of Emergency Management here in the city of Norwalk. And our mission is to provide our community with the necessary resources to prepare, respond, and recover from any disaster. With this mission in mind, we train our city employees on emergency response, as well as we acquire and distribute essential equipment and make emergency preparedness information accessible to all of our community. And we're very thankful for this grant, because with Rocket's Earthquake, let's see if we can see it, Rocket's Earthquake Safety Book, we were able to reach a bunch of our youth. And as you can see, since June 2023, we've been able to reach around 15,000 community members through school assemblies and city events. Next slide, please. So in our project, we collaborated with school staff to distribute the activity book. Students would initiate the activity book at school and then take it home to complete it with their family. Once it was completed, students showed their teacher the activity book and received a reward like a glow stick or a sticker, which we provided. Our goal in doing this was to help educate students on the dangers of earthquakes at an age-appropriate level, and also reduce the risk of injury during an earthquake. Another very important goal of ours, which I don't think you can really see there, is to grant families and schools an opportunity to revisit their emergency preparedness plans. Next slide, please. And here are a couple of the pictures that we took at some of the assemblies and some schools. As you can see, we partner with our public safety department, which provided support during the assemblies. We were able to talk to students about emergency go bags, stay boxes, all these different emergency preparedness information, as well as we provide them with the Rocket Earthquake Safety Activity Book. We also took our emergency preparedness mascot, Rocky the Raccoon, which the children loved and kept them engaged in our presentations. I believe the next slide is another picture. Yeah. And then we could go to the last
one. What was the name of the raccoon?
Rocky the Raccoon.
Rocky the Raccoon sharing Rocket the Dalmatian dog.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome.
really show me for some reason.
Okay.
So John and I were able to create a fun environment for the children, so they could learn how to stay safe during an earthquake. And it was an amazing experience because we were able to, connect with the children and, the parents and the teachers to all, come and see what the hazards are in their homes, in their classrooms. And at home, they could create an emergency plan, which typically families do not talk about an emergency plan during a disaster. So that was very important. And the project benefited the elementary students in Norwalk. Most of the Norwalk's elementaries are part of the Title I program, so they help achieve higher education for disadvantaged groups, which helped the students of Norwalk, which typically aren't able to have access to this information. So the activity book was really important for this community.
Yeah, and we were able to reach around almost 1,000 students really, and we received an 82% completion rate based on all the activity books that we gave out to the children, which we thought was really good. And again, we're very thankful for the grant.
Excellent. What a great presentation, and thank both of you for being with us today to share those results. If you will, during our next presentation, I'll put the link to the Rocket Rules materials into the chat. In addition to the booklets, they also have videos. There's a storybook as well on earthquakes. They have additional coloring book and other activities you can download, individual sheets, and the booklets are available online in many languages, the activity books. They also have an opportunity where you can have a live, what they call Rocket Rules Live, where you can have, for a classroom, you can have Rocket via Zoom, the Rocket character in an animated way, but live, so as Rocket's having conversations with the students, the animated character is moving its lips. You can actually see it speaking, and the kids and can see the children and interact back and forth, and really impactful for them to have that type of interaction. So thank you again, and we'll go ahead and move to our next mini award recipient, and that is Monica Gonzalez with City of Los Angeles Recreation and Parks and Recreation. Whichever way, Recreation and Parks, right?
Yes.
And get to your emergency management coordinator there and share about your project.
Hi, everybody. So I'm with the Department of Recreation and Parks, City of Los Angeles. And as what we do is we are the mass care and sheltering lead for the City of Los Angeles. And we work to coordinate shelter services for Angelenos that are displaced due to emergencies, local emergencies, or catastrophic disasters. Next slide. So this year we applied for the Secure Your Space package. The idea here is that we have senior citizen centers, and we have programs that we felt like the senior citizens could really benefit from us really implementing and focusing on providing emergency management and emergency preparedness, and really kind of focusing on the seniors. We have lots of recreation centers with children that we do a lot of emergency prep for, and I think that it was the senior citizens that I felt really needed some attention here. So we applied for a Secure Your Space package with the intention to secure some of our senior citizen centers. We were awarded with 15 furniture strap kits, file cabinet straps, 3-pack bookshelf straps, electronic straps. We had the putty and cabinet latches, and the museum putty. They really liked that a lot. And so we took all the items over. We separated them into, we can go to the next slide. Sorry. So first, there you go, back up. So our plan was to take the items, separate them into kits, and distribute them amongst 15 different centers. We did create some, we expanded the program and we made it also an informational program, educational program. So we did create some informational resources, a presentation for them so that we can go over earthquake preparedness in the many different aspects of it, and really help to prepare them personally, help to prepare them at their sites, and really kind of dive into more of an ongoing message and program in emergency management and preparedness for them. One of the other elements to this award was that we are going to have the 15 sites, the equipment installed. We're working with our site directors to identify where the best placement of the equipment and the straps would be. The centers are quite large, but we want to make sure that each site and that the equipment is used in the best possible way. So our facility directors are working with our construction team to make sure that that is done. It's still in process, and so the plan is to have all of the sites completed and everything secured by January 30th. The seniors are very, very excited to have this program. Our directors are very excited because they do get asked for emergency preparedness from the seniors. So we're very happy to roll this out. We believe that this grant and really gave us the springboard to be able to do that and to really get in there and work with the site. So we're very appreciative here. And yeah, so since then we've implemented this program, and and we're looking at different resources and everything that we can bring to the senior citizen centers to really prepare them for earthquakes and other emergencies. That's it. Thank you.
Excellent. Such an important, plan and locations. Of course, all locations should be secured, but as you point out, identifying more vulnerable populations, something small falls and maybe hits you. If you're young, it can bounce off you in a way, but others may be literally more impactful. Great work that you're doing that, very important. And as we continue to be thinking about the groups in your community or your own organization that you could be reaching out to in this way, and be applying for a mini award in 2024. And there is a request for your contact info, Monica. You could share that directly in response if you like, or with everyone if you're okay with that.
I'll drop it in the chat box. Thanks.
Yeah. Next up. Yep.
The other thing too is that in her discussing, the issue of providing personal preparedness information for the seniors, we also have the ability to, through our we have the ability to provide some of that. There are some teachers or instructors or presenters, I should say, who have information specific to the different, whether you want a generalized one or whether you're looking for specific information. We do have some presenters who can provide that. And if I remember correctly, we have a way to put a request in for a speaker.
Great point, Heidi. Yeah, so if you go to the earthquakecountry.org website, right there in the lower left corner, you'll see a link to requesting a speaker or a booth, information booth for your event. So definitely fill that out. We'll be lining up presentations into the new year and throughout the year, really. But the more lead time we can have to find someone for your event, the better. But there's a simple form, or it's a pretty thorough form, but it really gives us all the information we need to best find someone to come to your event. Okay, so the next,
for instance, for the past presentation, as a inclusive planning specialist, there are others out there, but one of us has the ability to put together a presentation that's very specific to that senior citizen.
That's right.
Community.
Thank you, Heidi. Next up, we have Kara McGee with Menifee Unified School District. Thank you for being with us. Kara, there you are.
Yep.
And here's your slides.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. And just to touch on that inclusivity in planning comment, one of the things that we realized in our emergency preparedness procedures was that we had a gas leak at a recent school, and we have a pretty large population of special needs students who are unable to walk. And so we actually, talking about inclusivity, you know, that was something that we didn't realize that we needed to work into our emergency preparedness supplies of, you know, having the folks that could push the strollers that were large enough for those kiddos. So you really have to think of all populations in an emergency. And so thank you for touching on that. Well, really quick, my name is Kara McGee. I'm the Director of Risk Management, and I've been here at Menifee for about almost close to 4 years. And I worked with Sharon Sando before she retired when I was at Mount San Jacinto Community College District, a nearby district that's close by. And I had been the recipient of a mini award program there. And so she knew I was going to be able to put into and implement if we did become a winner. And so we were excited to become part of the mini award program. So if you want to continue on to the next slide, I'll tell you a little bit about Menifee Union School District. We are a union school district because we are not unified in the fact that our high school district and our elementary, which we are at K-8, we are both union. We've not unified with our high school district. So a little minor detail, but just everyone always asks, why is it that way? So we are a K-8 district, and we're in a growing area where a lot of schools are closing down or reorganizing. We're actually in a really big area that's expanding, and a lot of folks are moving to this geography in Southwest Riverside County to send their kids to our schools. So a real quick show of the map. You can see that we're bounded by the San Andreas Fault Zone on the east, and it extends offshore to the west, northern part of the peninsula ranges geomorphic province, which is characterized by northwest trending mountains and valleys extending from the LA Basin on the north southeast into Baja California. Fun fact, I live in like the southwest part of the county, and in Temecula, we're really close to a fault line there as well. And I feel like I live on that fault right there, the Wildemar Fault. That Temecula section, it's really interesting growing up and being a native Southern Californianer and going through so many different earthquakes. The earthquakes out here hit different than they did where I grew up in Riverside. I don't know how to explain it other than it just feels more impactful, and there's a different feeling about it. So it's really interesting. So go ahead and go on to the next slide. So emergency preparedness is, you know, something that's really important for us. And so we were very happy and excited to win the hang on one second. Win the award. And what we did was we had applied for the $1,000 Secure a Larger Workplace package, and unfortunately these were the only 2 pictures that were sent to me, but I was assured, and I did see several of the other strap kits implemented on the file cabinets and the large appliance. So while I wasn't able to take pictures of those, these are the pictures that were sent to me, but rest assured everything did get implemented and strapped. And so we were very excited to have those. And as we were implementing these items, it made employees feel really, it brought about a sense of awareness. And they said, you know, the Great Shakeout is great, but when I see my employer making my workspace safe, that kind of bookends that great shakeout experience. And so we have a lot of partnership, and we have a really good turnout because we turn it into a drill, and we don't just ask people to get under their desk. We ask them to evacuate as well. And so it brought about a sense of awareness when we were implementing these strap kits.
Excellent. Hey, Kara, if I could just chime in on the pictures that you provided here, just for everyone. We often see the straps installed in this way. And often if you're not able to move the item, this is how you have to. But some people may see this and say, oh, that doesn't look that good. If you're able to move the bookshelf or file cabinet out from the wall, you can also have the straps point downward to where you really won't see them coming up the wall like this. Again, it's probably what was the case is these are very heavy and maybe not able to move in the moment. But that is for others who want to do this work, you can also have them go down. So effectively you drill the hole behind the bookcase and come up with the strap on the top, or even along the top of the side if you can't put it on the top. So just FYI for others.
That is a really good point. In fact, I am remiss, actually, the one on the lower bottom right where there's a red counter, that picture is turned the wrong way, and it's supposed to be off to the right hand side. And I said, hey guys, next time you take pictures, send me the whole thing so we can see, and I said, why did you install the straps that way? And so it was a really interesting lesson. And then they said, oh, we can install them the other way. And I said, yeah, there's different ways. So we're, like I said, this was our first award. And so absolutely, definitely while the employees felt like, oh, this is great. And I can see that, that we're making the workplace safer. It is sometimes, absolutely. We have an opportunity to create an eyesore, which doesn't need to be, for sure.
And on the other hand, people know it's secure, right? So when they see it, and just for everybody too, when you do this work, even if you do it in a way that you can't see the straps, I always say, whether it's in the workplace or at home, please show people what you've done. It really is what motivates others to do the work. They can see that you've done it, that people actually do this. And also they can ask you questions like, how did you do it? And how much did it cost? And how long did it take? And can I borrow your drill? So,
right.
So again, and here's your last slide, just it's really cute. So
and then just a real important reminder, we remind all of our employees here at Menifee Union School District every chance we get that they are disaster service workers and they took an oath. And what we need is for them to make sure that their homes are safe and secure, so that in the event of an emergency happening, that they know they're here, they're obligated to stay here to help out our youngest learners, such as the kiddo on the screen, because it's really important to make sure that, I know that my adult teenage boys, know how to turn off the gas, and they know all the things to help keep us safe when a disaster strikes, so that I can stay here and help our youngest learners. And so I can't say enough great things about this organization and about how honored I am to be here today. And so just thank you very, very much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you, Kara, for all that you've done and to improve the safety there. So, and with all the faults around you, right? So important.
Yeah.
Okay, so around all of us. Next up, Esther Martinez from Redlands Fire Department, not able to join us at last moment. So I will share a little bit about their project. So Redlands Fire Department, of course, is always promoting preparedness for all emergencies and disasters in their community. Participate in 35 community events each year to prepare and educate the community in all those disasters. And also, as many of us do, the city sits on many faults that may at any time cause a major earthquake. Anytime, that means today, that means it could happen any moment now. It really does. Doesn't that we don't know it's about to happen doesn't mean it won't. Just a little throwing that in. Okay, so for their project, this is another Rocket Rules project where they were going to share the booklets at their community events. And in particular, at 2 events this fall, one at the Redlands Fire Department open house and the San Bernardino County Museum Great Shakeout event on Shakeout Day. A key aspect that they were really looking to do is not only provide the materials to the children, but have conversations with their parents about how to prepare for an earthquake. And so just a couple of pictures of the recipients whose parents did give permission to the pictures to be used. Clearly the one on the left, I'm assuming is around a Halloween time. But if you're a Star Wars fan, you know that's a Mandalorian getting the earthquake safety book, and looks like others in costume behind. And then they also provide the fire department hats there, and and they distributed at those events 1,000 copies of these booklets. So again, this is an activity you can do in your community. The materials are I put the link to the Rocket Rules materials in the chat. You can learn about those, and definitely reach out to the company, not the company, the nonprofit leader if you have any questions. They often will really work with you to get materials to you. Okay, and then finally we have a video that from Imperial Valley College. This is another non-structural mitigation or secure your space project, and hopefully it's good. Oh, there it is.
Hello everyone. My name is Ivan Guillen. I'm a campus safety specialist here at Imperial Valley College. I want to thank the ECA for allowing me to present today at today's workshop. So without further ado, let's get started with this presentation. Okay, so I am a campus safety specialist here at Imperial Valley College. We are located in Imperial, California, 15 miles north of the Mexicali border. So we are basically a border community. Our college currently enrolls on average between 7,000 to 8,000 students per year. So when we first started, we wanted to evaluate the campus as a whole to figure out what areas were at most risk for damages or any injuries to our community members if a earthquake did happen while class was in session. So what we first did was we evaluated the areas that had high foot traffic from students, and after that, we took into consideration the condition of the building itself. Majority of our buildings right now have been modernized, and there are countless more constructions that is happening to create a better conditioning for our school. But we still do have buildings that are from the original construction of the 1962 construction. Tendencies, individual. We also started to implement. We used the members of our students when they're waiting for class.
Clicked it.
Like study rooms, break rooms, stuff like that. We used the putty that was provided to us. We provided that to multiple departments for staff members to use on the personal belongings, like vases, little ornaments that they have to celebrate any given season. And we also started to implement. We used a majority of the straps on file cabinets, the electronics for computer monitors,
I just wanted to highlight the work that they did. You could see the installation of the straps and other items, but they also added on other evaluation of their building and vulnerable locations, as well as distributed additional supplies. So as you can tell, this is likely a community that hasn't had a lot of support for earthquake mitigation. And it was great to be able to provide this to them for that purpose and work together going forward. We'll go ahead and move along. So again, just to remind you about the mini awards program, be on the lookout for an email coming in early 2024, and you can apply for the program. It's a very simple application. It's not a proposal that is, 10 pages. It's really filling out a web form. We just really want to like to have a lot of people applying, organizations applying, so that we have a lot of great opportunities to support them and to choose from those applications. Once again, in the chat, you'll see the link to today's survey, some other information there. I'm going to go ahead and just share quickly with you all the plans. If you can't believe it, if you lived in the area a long time, in January 17th is the actual day of the 30th anniversary of the 1994 Northridge earthquake. And we're working on a year-long campaign because it's 30 years since 1994 throughout the year. And there are a lot of people who have moved to Southern California since that earthquake, or have been grown up in Southern California since that earthquake. And the type of damage and the type of shaking that was experienced then, many people have not experienced. And we want to remind people of what can happen, not just in the San Fernando Valley, of course, but at all over Southern California, where you can have earthquakes of similar size, larger, of course, smaller too. But we know that based on the studies that have been done, that in any 30-year period, and we've had these already, we can have a 6.7 magnitude earthquake anywhere across California, and we will have them. We've had them. Fortunately, they've been we've avoided having big earthquakes since 1994 in the most populated regions of Southern California. They've been in the more kind of desert, rural areas, certainly a big impact for Ridgecrest and for Landers and others down near their border, where they experience strong shaking. But if those earthquakes had been in the LA metropolitan area or San Diego, in the Empire, like San Bernardino, Riverside, in the western counties, the losses would have been much greater than they were. So the statewide California Earthquake Center, along with Earthquake Country Alliance, we're going to develop the educational campaign to commemorate that, and really to, along those lines, raise the awareness about earthquake hazards, encourage preparedness mitigation. It's the type of work we've been building, and the resources that we've been creating in our multiple languages. Earthquakecountry.org/languages has 16 materials in 16 different languages that you can use. We're getting support from the campaign from the California Seismic Safety Commission, additional support that we get for ECA through California Office of Emergency Services for an event planned in Northridge, not on the day of, but that Saturday following. The cornerstone will be large Quake Heroes Expo events, which I'm about to share with you about. And again, going all the way through December 24. We're looking to you all to reach out to us. We'll be, of course, sharing information and about how to have one of these events throughout the year. But be thinking about, where might you host? Where do you have a great theater or other space where you can show a film? And the film, some of you have seen, we've been working on for a while, and Quake Heroes is a 55-minute documentary really focusing on those who experienced the Northridge earthquake and how they helped others, with a lot of information about the 7 steps to earthquake safety, scientists and engineers talking about what was learned from that earthquake, and including the type of buildings that had strong damage, especially the Northridge Meadows apartment building where the most people were killed when it collapsed. And that type of building now in some cities required to be retrofitted, more still to need that requirement. It really is encouraging viewers to become trained, to be able to help others when the time comes. And of course, we got funding for the film originally through FEMA, National Science Foundation, USGS, the Structural Engineers Association of Southern California, Simpson Strong Tie Hero New Foundation behind Rocket Rules, Safety Proof, and many others. And we do have a number of different stories that we're telling through the film. People who are living in the Northridge Meadows apartment building or in the Granada Hills Hospital reported to work or reporting live on air, or who are leading the urban search and rescue efforts into the collapsed buildings, and also supporting efforts beyond the San Fernando Valley, including in the Inglewood area, where Reverend Jackie Russell was supporting many of her community in the needs that they had. Also, Ken Hudnett, formerly of U.S. Geological Survey, and Dr. Lucy Jones are in the film. And we are planning these events. We've had a few around the country, actually. But most recently, our first major of the series, Quake Heroes Expo, which we held on Friday, December 1st. I'm not sure if anybody with us here, I mean, I was there, but if others here may have been there too. But this is an event that goes beyond just showing the film, but has booths for each of the 7 steps to earthquake safety with people from partner organizations, from government, the Red Cross, from vendors who are selling the furniture straps or supplies kits. We had the earthquake simulator from Safety Proof, the Quake Cottage. We had 2 fire engines. We had food trucks. We had a children's area. It was really quite something. And we are looking to do this not always outdoors. It could be an indoor theater or meeting space. The booths and all that, of course, could be outside if there's not space. We're really looking to identify potential locations. We have a lot of interest already, not just in Southern California, but even in the Bay Area and elsewhere. So there's a link here. You go to quakeheroes.org. There's a form there if you're interested in hosting a screening. Really, you can set up a conversation with us to look at what it would be like to bring this event to your community. Again, all the different things that were part of this. We had passports as people go from booth to booth where they got stamped, and then they could enter a drawing. We had earthquake preparedness or disaster preparedness materials donated by our partners. So this is the model that we would love to be doing as part of the anniversary. We have models of the Northridge Meadows apartment building and a model for how to retrofit it. We have a lot of information we're going to be having at these events. So the overall components of what we're planning are those expos. This could be maybe 20 around the year, could be 100 across the year. We're really hoping to get this out. People who attended on Friday night, did a survey and even just in person, thought it was fantastic and really unique experience, including our partners and vendors from the City of LA, the fire department, from Red Cross, and many others. So we really like to bring this to you. We will do also smaller film screenings. It could be in libraries or other locations without all of the additional activity. There, as part of the anniversary, also just a heads up, the Structural Engineers Association of Southern California is planning a symposium at Caltech on January 17th. You can look up if you're interested in attending that. You can go to the Structural Engineers Association of Southern California webpage, CEOS, where this date for the next thing really is going to probably be on the 20th. We weren't able to find location at CSUN on the 17th, so we're hoping to do that on the 20th. Saturday, probably will have a better attendance anyway. As always, we're looking to through our event request form to do our 7 steps to earthquake safety presentations. So it'll be reaching out to us. We'll be reaching out to you. Let us know if you'd like to have that type of presentation. We do them regularly and would like to include that. We'll have social media for us all to use, the toolkit, so you can share information and help promote the campaign, as well as news media outreach. If you're having your own events that you'd like to kind of emphasize the history, the 30th anniversary, also fill out that same event request form, and we can have an information table there. And of course, evaluation of a lot of our activities. So again, visit quakeheroes.org. And you'll find out, you can watch a little video about what we're planning. You can watch the trailer for the films and more. So, and then also, of course, coming up in 2024, the end of March is California Tsunami Preparedness Week. And as always, like with Shakeout, you can register the activities you're doing at tsunamizone.org/California. You can do things like, if you're, near the shore, you might hold a tsunami walk. If you're not, you can have a tsunami education event. People who may live in San Bernardino sometimes go to the beach and need to know what to do. So it's important to have those activities as well. We're also looking to expand the number of tsunami ready communities in California. So we're reaching out to partners along the coast. So any questions? I don't see any questions coming in the chat about the Northridge anniversary, but in general, at the end, and you can always email info@earthquakecountry.org. Hopefully you'll work with us to bring these events and awareness of the anniversary and the lessons learned from that important earthquake to your community. Next up, we have time here for a few announcements. If any of the remaining attendees today have anything they'd like to share, I guess that Heidi, that you can also pick up from here, or Mark.
Hey, Mark, I have a few things to announce for CalOES, if that's okay.
Please do.
Yeah, so for next year, sorry about that. So for next year, we're looking to start accepting proposals for NEHRP eligible projects. So annually, CalOES, in coordination with FEMA, invites state, local, and tribal governments, as well as nonprofit organizations like ECA and colleges and universities, to submit NEHRP eligible projects for consideration. So currently, we're looking for innovative earthquake hazard reduction proposals and potential pilot projects for fiscal year 24. So just some examples would be focusing on developing inventories or implementing seismic mitigation strategies or enhancing earthquake preparedness and education. We're also looking for the application or the project to be kind of broad scoped implementation for throughout California and not just limited to a single county or jurisdiction. In addition to that, we're looking forward to our partnership with ECA, Mark, working on a new pilot activity to help organizations get additional resources that ECA offers. So we're working with Mark and the Earthquake Country Alliance to develop an online catalog for local governments, nonprofits to order earthquake preparedness education, as well as outreach materials for printing and shipping. And so this will help to improve distribution of that messaging to making sure that it's consistent throughout the state. Mark, you covered the California Tsunami Preparedness Week. So again, it's going to be at the end of March. So if you're able to plan, register, and provide your Tsunami Preparedness Week activities, please do so at tsunamizone.org for California. And then also, Mark, I don't know if we told you yet, but for next year, for the Great California Shakeout next year, for the day of the drill, at CalOES, we're going to try to coordinate some sort of webinar so that we can have our state agency employees at CalOES sit in at a webinar and then do the drill afterwards. So it'll be a little bit more engaging and sort of like an activity for them to get credit for doing an exercise. And that's it. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Philip. Anyone else have an announcement? Eric, I see your question about Dr. Ginchkert from USC. If you'd like to reach out, please email me. I'll get you connected. Any other announcements? Then we'll move on to the next part. We have just a few minutes left here, but Heidi and Margaret, jump in here if you like to.
So I think the next part, what we wanted to do was to actually find out what you learned new from this meeting. So what you maybe got out of the meeting, something you might have learned that was new, and to kind of share that with others, and things that you might do now that you weren't thinking about doing before, and to just kind of share that with others. And Mark, are we opening this up to verbal?
Yeah, I think at this point, go ahead and just don't raise your hand, but just say, hi, it's John, and this is what I learned, or this is what I'm going to do. I'd like to share anything. Don't be shy.
Hi, this is Patricia with Beyond Prepared. One of the things that I did want to tell others and share in regards to the earthquake safety, the supplies that we use to put up, I was able to teach my team by going to Amazon as if I was going to purchase the product. And on there is where the video is of how to install. So the gentleman I spoke with from the company of the earthquake supplies, he's the one who referred me there, and they were extremely helpful. So that's kind of like a cheat sheet, I guess, but going to those videos really, really helped to explain how to install the devices.
Thank you, Patricia. Yeah,
very good.
Also at earthquakecountry.org/step1, we have instructions too, and there's a video of our webinars that we have done. We are soon you're going to see an announcement for a training next week that will be on shoot, I'm forgetting. It's in the evening, and I believe it's on December 11th, but let me get that right. One question, Philip, do you see in the chat the question about the link for applying for NEHRP funding? I think maybe it's more, maybe you want to give your email address.
Yeah, I can definitely leave my email here. We'll also be sending in kind of an announcement to ECA as well. So if you're able to share that in the newsletter, that'd be great. But I'll leave my contact information as well in the chat.
Yeah, and you're looking for project ideas, not that could get funding. So information about that will come out. And then yes, what I was sharing, Monday, December 11th, just coming right up, 6 to 8 p.m. so that we often get people saying, hey, everything's always during the day, I can't attend. So we're going to try this in the evening, and all the attendees of this training workshop for how to secure your space, how to secure furniture and all, will get will be mailed some products for attending. So anybody else have something that you'd like to share about what you learned or will do or will use, etc.?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we are at 3 o'clock. And so our thank you to Brian Olson and to Gabrielle for their presentations today. They were wonderful. And thank you for all of you for participating and providing your input so everybody else can learn from you. And so we're going to adjourn this meeting. Our next meeting will be on February the 14th. We'll go back to the 10:30 to 12, was it 10:30 to 12:30? Are we doing, Mark?
Normally it'd be 10 to 12, but we may
10 to 12. Yeah, 10 to 12 time frame.
It would be longer.
Yeah, we're also looking at maybe doing it in person and going back to at least one in-person meeting. We will try to find a venue that is close to all of you so that you can come and we can do a person-to-person meeting. And so look for that in the future to come, and hopefully that might be in February. So thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your week and have a very happy holiday.